Hello everybody out there in YouTube land. Thank you for watching, and if you haven't subscribed, please do so by pushing that subscribe button. I'm Spencer and this is my wife Keisha,
Hello.
and we'd like to thank our family and friends for convincing us to put this on YouTube, to share this with the world, and the accomplishment that a family could do and work together and accomplish. This was a very big undertaking for us, and we made it happen. I'd also like to thank our subscribers. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so, because if you haven't, your TV will self-destruct.
1.
In 5, 4, 3, just kidding. And thank you to all our viewers. We've got a lot of viewers, we've got a lot of subscribers out there, but we'd still like to get some more. So anyways, you can see in the background our spiral staircase, which is the centerpiece of our house. We figured this would be the best spot for us to kind of talk you through some of the questions that we've had and problems or concerns that we might have went through. Turn the time over to my wife to read off some of these questions that we have.
Someone asked, what year did we start building this house?
What year was that?
That was November of 2012.
November 2012. That was a cold winter that year.
That was.
We ended up getting a couple containers together, and we started framing and insulating the inside to get it warmed up. That wasn't a big deal to do that because of most of our plumbing and electrical was run on the interior walls. And me working a full-time job and then coming home and have to work on the house, it got very exhausting. There was sometimes weeks or months that I wouldn't touch the house after we moved in because it was to a point where we could kind of live in it and enjoy it at the same time. And it's also hard to work on a house when you're living in it, but it can be done, and we've done a lot of it. We're still working on this house. The first few videos are just pictures only, and that is because we weren't planning on sharing this on YouTube or anything like that. These were just pictures so we could look back at a later point and look at the progress that we made in our lives and the big undertakings that we've taken. So, next question.
Someone was asking about the plumbing. They were trying to figure it out, and that usually that's with the conventional home, that's the first process is doing plumbing.
So obviously our house isn't a conventional house.
Oh.
A lot of thinking went into this process of building this container house. So our back container, the bottom back container, has the kitchen, the laundry room, and the master bath. We tried to keep all of our plumbing centralized in one container. That way you weren't having to run 5 gallons of water just to get hot water to your tap or your sink. Most of the water lines run underneath the house up against the bottom of the plywood of the container. And if you've ever seen the bottom of a container, they've got metal cross members. Some of them are built every 10 inches, some are built every 11 inches. It depends on who made the container. Well, I took my plasma and I cut little holes right up next to the plywood, and I ran all my water lines up next to that plywood so that the heat of the house would kind of keep it a little warm so it wouldn't freeze. Water is stubbed up next to all the sinks or the washer or the toilets, and if we stubbed it up and there was a sink on the other side of the wall, I actually just went through the wall. No plumbing goes in around the walls, it just goes through it. So if there was a time that a water line might break or leak, I could easily access it without having to tear a wall down. The sewer obviously wasn't that big of a deal as far as freezing, because you put everything on a slope and it's supposed to drain before it freezes anyways. But I tried to keep everything within that 6-inch height of the container cross members. So the drainage of the toilets, as soon as it leaves the toilet, it's got a sharp 90, and they're built with 4-inch drainage so that it drains good, and then it goes right out the back of the house. So all the plumbing, about 95% of the plumbing, is all easily accessible in case something happens or something breaks. Maybe in a later video we might be able to come across some pictures, because we do have about 4,000 pictures that we are going through to bring you up to date and up to speed on this house. Also, you need to stay tuned in for the big move, and with the big move we have a lot of videos. And we actually tore the house down, moved it, and set it up here where it is now in 4.5 days. Now that is very impressive to me, of how quick it happened and how fast we was able to put it back up. And that was a big advantage to having a container house. So please stay tuned in for the big move. Not sure what part that's going to be, because we got to get you up to speed, and we're doing the best we can. And let me remind you, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Okay, what's our next question?
Another comment was they couldn't believe we built it on rented land.
And do you have any comments on that?
Well, it started out with, we needed a place to stay, and this owner, the manager, was very nice to us. We just barely met him. I think we lived in the valley for 3 months, and then we moved from there from our little RV to that property so we'd have space.
And when we got to that space, it was like 3.5 acres, and we were the only ones occupying that space. And that was where we found out that there wasn't very many building codes at all out there where we live. So we decided that we were going to start building our container house. We knew the landlord would not sell us the property, but we were hoping that in the future he would sell us the property. But just in case he didn't, we did build our house on a temporary foundation so that we could at least get started. And some of you might think, well, that was the hard way to go, but you know what? We actually had our house on that land for about 2 or 3 more years before we found land to build this house. And like you heard in the first video, we had to start somewhere. We felt like we needed to start somewhere, so we started on rented land. I had the capabilities of moving the house. That wasn't a problem. We just weren't sure where we were going to end up. Were we going to end up in the valley still? Were we going to end up in another state? One thing about this container house, everything unbolts. It'll go down the road 8 feet wide, so you wouldn't have to have any oversized load permits. Even the spiral staircase and the housing all comes out in one piece. And when you see the big move, you will see how impressive that is. And that spiral staircase goes down the road on an 8-foot wide trailer. So anyways, we had to start somewhere. We felt like we had to start somewhere, and that's what we had to do. We ended up having to move our house later, but you know what? It paid off. And the landlord was awesome. He just said, do whatever you want, as long as it don't contaminate the ground or disvalue his property. So we started our home, building our home here on that rented land, and this is where we are now, on our own land with our house. And I'm sure glad we started, because we basically got a 3-year head start. So anyways, that's why we had to build it on rented land. Next question.
A comment about containers are terrible options for homes due to the poor structural strength and high thermal conductivity, and that they can get contaminated.
So I watch YouTube too, and I watch some of them that says 7 reasons why you shouldn't build a container house. You know, and I don't really appreciate negative people. I think it's awesome that somebody can build a house out of containers. or out of anything, really. The creativity that people can come up with for homes is awesome. For us, it was a container. I'm a welder fabricator. My wife has some house designing plans, and together we came up with this floor plan and this build. I'm sure some containers can have contaminants or chemicals in them. I'm pretty sure if there was a chemical spill in one of these containers, whoever sells these containers would probably have to have that cleaned up first. But when we got our containers, it was clear that there was no contaminants in the containers. There was no mold. There was no blood. At least when we got the container, there was no blood, but there was some bloodshed building the container. You know, splinters, cuts, abrasions, stuff like that. But anyways, if the house is built out of containers and is framed in right and very well insulated like what we did, this house is every bit as good as a conventional house. Eventually I'm going to show you guys how we framed the exterior walls and why I did it and how we insulated it. Because right now it's very hot outside. You can't even keep your hand on the metal of the container. It's that hot. But you come to the inside of the house and put your house on the wall, it is cool. And I gotta believe this house is as good insulated as any other house, conventional house. And besides, with a container house, you don't have any siding to blow off. There's no roofing shingles to blow off. There's very limited, if any, exterior maintenance to do on this house. But if any of you have any comments, please keep them positive. We don't need no negative comments. I mean, for us, building a shipping container house was ideal. This is what worked for us. It might not have worked for them. You know, I don't know what else to tell you, but try to keep your comments on a positive side, please.
And then someone responded to that one saying, all that was written was not truth, and that the reinforcements strengthen the containers and thermals are solved by proper insulation, such as spray foam and drywall. So, and then contaminants can be cleaned up. So, thank you for that comment.
Okay, as far as the structural integrity of these containers, I would like to get a whiteboard, maybe on our next video, and kind of explain how we were able to structurally build this house. You know, because we have big openings cut out between two containers, up to 16 feet. And the way we were able to do that was, you know, the top container supports the roof of the first container, and we put some brackets in and stuff like that. And there was no steel beams or anything used to build the house itself. The house is elevated at 14 feet, so I could put a shop underneath, you know, but that's the foundation. But as far as the interior of the house, it's all containers. There's no space in between containers, no beams between containers. You know, structurally, this house would withstand a hurricane or a tornado. Any more questions?
Nope, that's it.
All right, well, I have a couple questions that I've had people ask me. And they ask me how much this house is worth. Well, I don't know what this house is worth. We're at how many square feet?
3,500.
3,500 square feet for this house, and that don't include the garage or the shop that's going to be underneath it. Plus the house isn't completely finished. We still have some trimming to do and stuff like that. The third floor, we got it up there. It's all sealed. We got the cutouts done. We haven't cut the windows in, but the third floor is going to be a theater room on one side, pool table room or game room on the other side. I'm hoping to bring you some videos when we start that, so I can show you how we did the walls in detail and how we did the electrical. So I don't know what this house would be worth. I mean, we've got a lot of work into it, and I don't know. We didn't really build it to sell it. And then our next question that we got is somebody asked, would I sell it? I don't know if I would sell it. I guess if the price was right, I would. No bank is going to give you a loan on this house because it's not a conventional home. Our house is on 13.5 acres of patented land, which would add to the value of the house. But I don't know. If somebody was to make me a reasonable offer, maybe, but right now we're not going to sell it. We'd like to finish this house. Another person asked, plans for the exterior of this house. Well, I don't want to paint the house. I actually want to get rid of the paint on the house and let it naturally rust. Now, it's not like we're in a car and driving it down a salty road. This house will never rot all the way through. It'll get its rust stain or rust look or whatever, and that's as far as it's going to go. I've got some pipe I've used on this house that was taken out of the ground, I don't know, 30 years ago, that cover up the corners of the container of this house. And the rust is not going to go any further than it has. So I want to go with that rust look. So that's why I haven't painted anything on the outside, but eventually we got to strip the paint on the outside. And I'm not quite clear, or I'm not quite sure how we're going to do that. I would like to sandblast it, but I don't know if somebody out there knows of a better way. Maybe we have tried a little bit of aircraft remover, but this paint on these containers is thick and it's stuck on there pretty good. Also, for the exterior of the house, I got 2 more spiral staircases I'm going to build. I'm going to build one to the left and one to the right of this house, so you can access the top of the first floor, the top of the second floor, and ultimately the top of the 3rd floor. And I will bring you a video of the view from the 3rd floor, top of the roof of the 3rd floor. The view is very
amazing.
Awesome. So another question, how long has it taken to get to this stage? It has taken us about 10 years. And there has been a lot of time in between working on this house that I haven't worked on this house. I get burned out. I think this house could be built with help, I guess, within a year. But where I'm the only one that welds and fabricates in this family, it takes a lot of hard work. And you can see that in a lot of the pictures that I'm the one that's taping and texturing the walls and doing that, and the family pitches in to help with what they can. But it's a big undertaking, and working full time and building the house, it really weighs on you. So we've been in this house for about 9 years, because the first year took us a little bit to get started and get things to the point where we could live in it. One person asked, how did you find the time to build and work at the same time? Well, I was very ambitious, and I wanted to get this house done. I didn't want to be in a mortgage. We lost our house in Utah, and I didn't want to get back in a mortgage again. And this is how we did it. We purchased the containers, we purchased the materials as we could afford it, and I spent a lot of time on weekends getting this house at least to where we could live in it. And as you can see from the pictures, it was a huge undertaking. It was a lot of work to build the bay windows and the spiral staircase and stuff like that. But as soon as we got it to where we could live in it, where we had a flushing toilet, a working sink, a working shower, we moved into it right away.
Yep.
And I think that was part of the drive that I needed to work on this house every weekend to get it to where we could live in it. Now I'm not so ambitious because we're living in it. It's hard to work on it and live in it at the same time, but we're slowly getting her done. Another person asked, you know, what our future plans are. Well, our future plans is to finish this house. I need to build the 2 exterior spiral staircases. I need to finish the handrail on the outside. I need to finish the trim on the 1st and 2nd floor. As you can see in the spiral staircase windows, you see some spray foam around the windows. I need to trim all that and get that all painted. There's a lot of finish work that needs to be done. And we also need to get the underside of the house done as far as the shop or the garage. And hopefully we're going to have that done before this winter. And that's all we have as far as questions for now. I hope you enjoyed this video, and please subscribe. Please tell your friends and your family. And thank you for watching this video, and we will try to keep you updated and posted on future work that we do. We're going to get you up to speed with these pictures ASAP. Thank you for watching,
Thank you.
and we'll see you later.
Bye.